All right, good morning. This is today's convention day, and I've got sorry, you got to look at my bald head. I've got my hat I left in my car. I'm just about to head off to the convention. I just wanted to do a really quick live stream to help get out a message from the state party that I think is very important. And so let me bring that up. Um, so today is convention day, and exciting times. We're going to be checking in. It's 8:15 right now, so check-in has already started. Credentialing is going until 10, and I will be there very soon. Um, so this is the email that I just want to go through real quick. There's just a couple points that I want to make. The um, the request here in bold, that the state party is concerned about, obviously what I've reported about and others have reported on, that um, there is a movement afoot to try to suspend the rules, to try to remove Ambassador Hoekstra as the chair. And this is largely based on like they have worked the Christina Caramo crowd has worked really hard to incite as much hatred as possible towards Pete Hoekstra, and it's completely unfounded. Most of it is based on his support of the Patriot Act over 20 years ago. There were only like 5 or 6 uh, representatives who voted against it at that time. Everybody was for it. And so it's really a silly thing to hold something against someone. These people claim to be Christians, and there is no forgiveness whatsoever, only resentment, only hatred. And that's not how the body of Christ is to be marked as in any endeavor. And I think especially within politics. I mean, Christians in politics should be humble. They should be marked by being peacemakers and by being unifiers. And this is very clearly God's commandment to us, and yet they are marked. These people who claim to be Christians are marked by hatred, and it's because, as I have argued, they use the Bible as a weapon to incite hatred, and that's Antichrist stuff. This is an Antichrist cult, and um, I will be going into much more depth on that in the very near future. It is extremely disturbing to me as a Christian to see people distort the Bible in this way and to mislead other Christians in this way. So the message really is stand down. Let's come together as a party to elect Trump. Let's do what RFK did yesterday and support Trump and support our candidate, not just Trump, but all of the candidates. And we have here a message. This message was, and it says, we request that all delegates stand in solidarity with the candidates and oppose any efforts by agitators to disrupt or hijack the nomination process. And that's exactly what this is. The people that this would hurt the most if they do suspend the rules is the candidates. And so almost all the candidates, and I'll show which one is notably absent here, but almost all the candidates are agreeing, let's not do this. Let's not do this. Let's not suspend the rules. Let's not drag this thing out. Let's just come together to select our candidates. And so it says the Michigan Republican Party and all candidates for nomination expect the convention to run in accordance with the rules unanimously passed by the state committee on April 27th, 2024. Now, here's the thing. These people, they love to claim victim. This is a Democrat operation. They love to play victim, always playing victim, claiming that this is the state party imposing its rules upon the floor, and the delegates have all the power, and we need to take it back on the floor. That's just ludicrous. The rules have been, like they said, it was passed by the state committee, and before that, they've been working on them for some time. I mean, this is the rules committee works throughout the year on these rules for these conventions, and So this is, and there's a process. The rules committee members, by the way, they are accessible. So if you want to lobby them as a delegate, you are most welcome to reach out to the rules committee. And I know some of them personally. I am certain that they would be happy to field your calls and hear your concerns for future conventions. But the reality is that these rules are designed to ensure that the convention goes forward and accomplishes its purpose, which is to nominate um, these are to select our nominees as a party for these races. So this is, and it was signed by Pete Hoekstra and all these other candidates. The one that is most notably absent to me is Alexandria Taylor, which is very interesting. Alexandria Taylor, why wouldn't you want a smooth convention? Why wouldn't you want these agitators to stand down? Just curious. Um, so I believe that there is I really hope and pray that Alexandria Taylor, who was a Democrat, and she ran for Democrat as recently as 2020. She's run 2 failed campaigns as a Democrat and then a failed campaign as a Republican for U.S. Senate. And now she's going to run what undoubtedly, if she gets the nomination, would be a failed campaign for the state Supreme Court. And last night, Matt DePerno stepped down. He announced that he's stepping down to endorse O'Grady, and O'Grady is a great candidate. He's currently a judge. He has the credentials to be able to get elected. Like, he's a real judge, and so not somebody who's talking about election fraud in order to try to whip up the the lunatic base. And I call it a lunatic base, and if that offends you, I apologize. I heard from someone yesterday who is in Kalamazoo and on the Kim Harris side of the Kalamazoo debate, and I'm going to end with this. And she was, and I really I appreciated that she came to me honestly and sincerely. She came to me honestly, sincerely in email and asked me to just reconsider my position. And she said, I really, it's all about the grassroots versus the establishment. I mean, and she was so sincere. And she said, it's the grassroots. I just think about this. Like, we need to support the grassroots. And so I agree that, grassroots is good. But I think what's even better is our principles. And to really understand this whole idea of grassroots versus establishment, you have to understand Marxism. And there's one of the most fundamental principles of Marxism is called dialectical materialism. Dialectical materialism is defining a thing by its opposite. So you say, okay, in Marxism, the proletariat was the working man. This is the everyday working man. This is all of us, right? And the bourgeoisie is the opposite. The working man is poor. The working man has to struggle. The working man, just barely gets by. The working man, when they get sick, life is hard. Whatever, the struggles of the working man. So the bourgeoisie is the opposite. They have no struggles. They're rich. They're the ones on top that put all the pressure on us. They own everything, and so they are the enemy because they just can't identify with us. And you can see that, like, it's the victim oppressor paradigm, which Marxism really depends on. That's the foundation of it. And I see zero difference here between that and this grassroots establishment paradigm. The reality is that there are some people, but few people, who are truly evil. We don't live in a black and white world. And that's what Marxism tries to get us to see the world through a black and white lens, because when we do, we're very easily controlled. So we don't live in a black and white world. We live in a gray world, really. Very few people are truly evil, like where they actually understand what they're doing and they have nefarious intentions. There's nobody that is truly good, 100% good. I mean, we're all sinners, right? The Bible teaches that very clearly. There's only one who is who never sinned, and that was Jesus. So all the rest of us are gray. and and we need to have the intellectual maturity. And that's really what this is. It's an intellectual, psychological, emotional maturity to say, okay, I'm not going to put everyone into a box. I'm going because that's just not realistic. I'm going to look at the world in more of a gray lens. Now, if somebody is following and pledging their allegiance to someone like Christina Caramo, and they are putting themselves into a box by doing so, then I think it's accurate to describe that as a box. I call it a cult all the time because it is a cult. It's a Christian nationalist antichrist cult, and I will continue to call it exactly what it is because that's what it is. But let's not see the world through this black and white lens. Let's reject Marxism within the Republican Party. There is no room for it. This is not a grassroots versus establishment issue. That's not what the issue is within the party. The actual issue within the party is it's been infiltrated by Marxists. And Mike Labadie is a Marxist. And he's made Christina Caramo into a Marxist. And I will show more evidence of that in the near future. But many of the lieutenants here have become Marxists, and whether they know it or not, and that would be people like Laurie Skibo and Braden Jacobazzi and Dan Bonamy and so many others. Samantha Strayer, Deb L., Deb Ross. These people are functional Marxists because they promote this whole idea of grassroots versus establishment. So let's reject all of that. I mean, can we just grow up a little bit as a party and say, all right, let's come together and let's do our job as delegates, which is to choose our nominees. And that's our job today. So let's come together. If you see people being a complete pain in the rear and bringing up stupid motions and just trying to cause chaos, boo them. They need to be the ones that are booed the loudest. They need to be shamed, and because they're bringing shame upon the party. So we need to. I think the only language that they speak is and understand is strength, and so we need to be stronger than they are. And part of that is staying all the way through the gavel at the end. We need to stay through to the end, and if that's uncomfortable, if you have to leave for a medical reason or something like that, make sure that you're elevating an alternate that you support. So make sure that you're not leaving without elevating an alternate from your county. So I think it's going to go well. They don't have the numbers. They only have about a third, and hopefully that this message and others can speak to a lot of the new delegates. And there's about 20% new delegates, and they're whipping them really hard. They're trying to convince them, draw them into their Marxist antichrist cult. And so that's not what the Republican Party is about. We're about coming together and working hard, especially at this point, just over 70 days before the election. We only have, we're wasting a precious Saturday here that we could be knocking doors. So appreciate you. And if you're at the convention, please hook me up. If you want to call me Mr. Propaganda, or if you want to just call, if you want to express whatever, you're welcome to. But it should be a fun day. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'll try to share some live streams on X as we go. So thanks a lot.